morning, everyone. We are going to talk about something that seems very basic at first glance, but is actually deeper than that. It's also going to be something that pulls in little bits of past videos because you guys, these are principles, these are concepts, and we're going to talk about them in as many ways as we have to for them to truly be seen. Because one person's going to have an epiphany on this video, another person's going to have an epiphany on that video, and all of this plays together, okay? So I better take a nice big sip of coffee to get through this one. As soon as I say what we're talking about, you guys are going to feel different ways. Let me set this down. So today we are going to talk about self-care. And with that, some of you are like, oh, yay, I'm totally working on that right now. And I'm really interested in talking about that. And some of you are going to be rolling your eyes going, I already do my self-care. And some of you are going to be feeling like, ugh, no, I don't want to talk about that. That's what I'm avoiding right now. Okay? So obviously we've talked about self-care at some point in one of these hundreds of Coffee with Dawni videos. But I really want to hone in on this. I want to bring together, I've actually been working towards this video for a while, bringing these concepts up in other ways. So, what even is self-care? So we think of it and we think of like, I'm going to take an Epsom salt bath, I'm going to drink my water, I'm going to have a smoothie, maybe I'm, going to call a friend and go have a cup of coffee. I'm going to go see my therapist or my coach. I'm going to go to the gym. Okay, absolutely beautiful. All of those things are self-care. Those are the things we talk about. If we were doing a class right now and I was the teacher and I said, okay, and I've got my whiteboard up there. Okay, everyone give me an example of something you do for self-care. Those are the types of things you're going to say to me. Now, if that was what you were actually doing for self-care and you weren't doing these other things, that would be a whole different ballgame. But the things that we tell ourselves that we're doing in the name of self-care, some of us on a daily basis, that's what we're going to talk about today. Is the stuff we tell ourselves is our self-care, but is actually harmful for us. So, what are some of those things? Well, how many times have you said to yourself, you know what, I had a really rough day at work today. I'm going to have a bottle of wine tonight. And 6 months later, you realize you've had a half a bottle to a full bottle of wine every night for 6 months because work is always rough. And then on the weekends, then you're just partying with your friends. And pretty soon, what you did in the name of self-care is actually harming you. So this is the concept of that it cannot be self-care if it is something that harms you in any way. And usually, y'all know, we're harming who? Who are we harming? Our future selves. This goes back to that concept, right? That concept of borrowing from our future selves. So, is what you're doing in the name of self-care borrowing from your future self or paying and saving up for your future self? Because it is, if you are doing something that harms you, it is not loving to yourself. It is instant gratification. I want you to just be with this for just a minute, okay? This is going to feel like, oh, I already know this. I've already thought about this. Okay, but have you? Because where are you doing this? Where in your life are you doing something in the name of self-care that is actually the exact opposite? So any addiction, right? So, okay, I'm smoking. I'm drinking a lot. I'm, binge watching Netflix for 6 hours a day. I'm scrolling Facebook all day long. I'm eating a huge bowl of ice cream before I go to bed every night. I can so get that it feels like self-care. But again, if it is something that is harmful to you in any way, then it is not actually self-care. And maybe it would be powerful just simply to call it what it is, which is a coping mechanism. So our instant gratification things are coping mechanisms. So then the conversation to really have goes much deeper. It's a whole entire rabbit hole in and of itself. It's funny, I'm drinking out of this, cup. How many cups a day? How many cups of coffee a day does it take for me to cope when I'm having a difficult day, right? And you can put that into your language of your own coping mechanism. Okay, maybe I have my 1 cup in the morning and it's ritualistic and it's beautiful and I'm putting really good things into it and it actually blesses my life. Well, in that case, it can be self-care. 2 pots later, tons of sugary cream. I'm jittery. I've just had tons of sugar. At that point, I'm borrowing adrenally. Is that a word? Adrenally? Right? But I'm borrowing from my own adrenals. My own future self's adrenals. Okay? So, we got to go deeper with this one. Who's willing? If you're not willing, just shut this off right now and just be like, whatever, Dawni, I don't care about this. That's perfectly fine too. But for those of you who want to see this deeper, look at where you are needing your coping mechanisms. Why do you need them? What is the thing that you're doing before the coping mechanism comes up? What's the thing that really, truly is not working for you that you're still doing? So this actually, can you see how many videos this is starting to incorporate? Because this also goes back to the Coffee with Dawni and Gideon we just did, right? About self-betrayal. What are you doing in your day that creates a dissonance that makes it so then you need to bring in a coping mechanism? What is it that you're trying to cope with? Because once you see that, you can do something about it. So if the thing that you feel like you need, the thing that is out of alignment for you is something that you can change, well, that's the direction you're going to want to head. Okay, you know what? Yeah, I said yes to being on the PTA vice president. And it's so not in alignment for me that before I go to any PTA meeting, I need to get my flask ready with my whiskey that I can sip during the whole thing so that I don't freak out. Okay, in that case, then that's something to look at. Okay, well, I only have 3 weeks left of it. I can get through that. I'm not going to say yes to that again. Or I still have 9 months left of this and it's not going to work for me. I need to renegotiate this. If it's something that you don't have a choice over. So let's say, let's go really, really extreme. And you have a coping mechanism because what's very difficult for you is that your child has very serious type 1 diabetes that has to be managed all day, every day. Okay? And that's not something that you are going to choose out of. Obviously, that's your child. So then what? Can you find a coping mechanism? Ooh, I can feel my own ego resistant to this idea. So this is a good one. Can you find a coping mechanism that actually gives to your future self? So what would that look like? Well, okay, that could be my coping mechanism is on my way home from work. Every night, I go to the gym for 45 minutes and move out some of this angst, and I prepare myself mentally and physically for going home and taking care of my diabetic child and my other children and being the best parent ever. Do you see? That's a coping mechanism that blesses your future self instead of borrows from your future self. Are you taking or are you giving? So I'm not saying that self-care and a coping mechanism are mutually exclusive. I'm saying to be honest with yourself which one it is, because the second you're telling yourself the truth, you can then get back in alignment with that. Okay, another example, the big bowl of ice cream before bed. Who's with me on that one? I freaking love ice cream. I'm on Amy Farnsworth and I right now, she's watching, are on a frozen yogurt kick. Okay? We love us some Menchies, and no, they're not paying me to do a commercial for them, but I should probably make them. If I had my way, we would go at least 5 times a week. I would go pick up Amy, we'd drive to Menchie's, get our frozen yogurt, load it up with all the good stuff, and then have our amazing conversation in the car while we eat our yogurt. That's kind of our thing. All right, well, that is not, I can tell you right now that eating that much sugar and stuff is not good for me. It's definitely borrowing from my future self. Future self, even a couple of hours after that, is not help. My body's not happy. So what is it, though, that gives me? Well, time with Amy, right? So really good conversation. Time away, time kind of like out of the house. Okay, so then could we do something like, hey, let's go for a drive and go get a veggie smoothie at Roxbury. See, you can still have the thing, but true it up to where you're blessing your future self. So, I mean, I could literally go on and on and on with examples of this, but the whole concept is you can't call it self-care when you're actually hurting yourself. That really messes with us, okay? So call it what it is, and then look for ways of truing that up based on how it affects your future self, whether that is your future self an hour from now, or a week from now, or 5 years from now. Let's get this in alignment. Let's get this so that our self-care is actually both short-term, helps us cope, and long-term blesses our lives. Whole new way to look at this concept. So for all of any repeating I did of past videos, just trust that is to deepen the understanding of these concepts and get it into our conscious minds. It takes repetition to do that. All right, you guys, as always, I adore you. May your coffee be strong and your life be blessed. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. It really helps out my channel. And if you would be interested in working with me further, you can check out DawniAngel.com. I would love to come speak to your group, come to your business to do a training, be on your podcast, my personal favorite, or even work with you one-on-one.